welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome.
Good morning, this beautiful summer morning. My name is Mary Klein, and I'm one of the licensed practitioners here at Center for Spiritual Healing St. George. So I invite you at this very moment to simply take this moment and move within. And if you're comfortable with it, to close your eyes. And now just take a nice deep breath in. Many spiritual leaders over the centuries taught that the kingdom of God is at hand and that divine love can protect us and that divine guidance can lead us here and now. This morning, I've taken the liberty to borrow from Thich Nhat Hanh, Joy of Meditation as Nourishment. So again, relax, put your feet on the floor, and I ask you to breathe in. So we'll begin. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out, I know it's a wonderful moment. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Aware of my body, I breathe in. Relaxing my body, I breathe out. Calming my body, I breathe in. Caring for my body, I breathe out. Smiling to my body, I breathe in. Easing my body, I breathe out. Aware of the hair on my head, I breathe in. Smiling at the hair on my head, I breathe out. Aware of my eyes, I breathe in. Smiling to my eyes, I breathe out. Aware of my ears, I breathe in. Smiling to my ears, I breathe out. Aware of my nose, I breathe in. Smiling to my nose, I breathe out. Aware of my mouth, I breathe in. Smiling to my mouth, I breathe out. Aware of my neck, I breathe in, smiling to my neck. I breathe out. Aware of my shoulders. I breathe in, smiling to my shoulders. I breathe out. Aware of my arms. I breathe in, smiling to my arms. I breathe out. Aware of my hands. I breathe in, smiling to my hands. I breathe out. Aware of my fingers. I breathe in, smiling to my fingers. I breathe out. Aware of my chest. I breathe in, smiling to my chest. I breathe out. Aware of my lungs. I breathe in, smiling to my lungs. I breathe out. Aware of my heart. I breathe in, smiling to my heart. I breathe out. Aware of my liver. I breathe in, smiling to my liver. I breathe out. Aware of my intestines. I breathe in, smiling at my intestines. I breathe out. Aware of my kidneys. I breathe in, smiling to my kidneys. I breathe out. Aware of my back. I breathe in, smiling to my back. I breathe out. Aware of my belly. I breathe in, smiling to my belly. I breathe out. Aware of my productive organs. I breathe in, smiling to my reproductive organs. I breathe out. Aware of my buttocks. I breathe in, smiling to my buttocks. I breathe out. Aware of my thighs. I breathe in, smiling to my thighs. I breathe out. Aware of the rest of my legs. I breathe in, smiling to my legs. I breathe out. Aware of my feet. I breathe in, smiling to my feet. I breathe out. Aware of my toes. I breathe in, smiling to my toes. I breathe out. Aware of my smile. I breathe in, smiling to my smile. I breathe out. Smiling to my body. I breathe in, releasing the tension in my body. I breathe out. Feeling joy to be alive. I breathe in. Feeling happy. I breathe out. Dwelling in the present moment. I breathe in. Enjoying the present moment. I breathe out. So we'll now sit in silence for just a few moments, and I'll be back. So know in this moment, I invite Spirit to move into my life in a bigger way. I know when I partner with Spirit, my world is without limits. I am immersed in the power that created all that is. And so it is. Namaste.
You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living's virtual Sunday service in St. George, Utah. My name is Alan Stanley, and I'll be your host today. We are an open, loving, and inclusive community here at St. George. We support creative thinking and living a deeply spiritual life. So, welcome again. I'd like to introduce our team that we're providing the service for you today. Marina Anderson is in the background doing all our tech work. Mary Klein offered our great breathing meditation. That was great, Mary. Thank you. She will also be offering the invocation today. Cheryl Barlow will be providing our great spiritual music, and Gwen Hadley will be reading our affirmation for our new minister. And here's the kicker. Our guest speaker today is Reverend Laura Hallett, and we're really looking forward to that. So settle back and relax and watch the service and enjoy God and Me. It's Cheryl's going to sing today. Hello, Cheryl.
Good morning, Alan. So glad to be here. And just as Alan said, we just want you to just kick back, and just really open yourself. Open yourself to the opportunity of God speaking through this service to you today. I'm going to sing this song one time through. We're going to have a beautiful prayer, and then we're going to invite you to sing along as well. God of glory, God of power, God of goodness, God of grace, God of wisdom, God of love, God of life transcending time and space, God in me, invite Mary back, and she's going to pray us in. Thanks,
Okay,
Mary.
thank you. I'll now go into prayer, and I ask anyone who's comfortable with closing their eyes to do so. So today, I turn within and court the presence of pure spirit, feeding and sensing that the allness of God is making itself known in every aspect of my being. I embark upon this day with a sense of peace, assurance, and gratitude, affirming that I am a fit instrument for the following of divine blessings. I recognize the presence of God is everywhere. I know we live from a place of knowing that everywhere we go, we are safe. Our internal GPS guides us as well. As we live from this place of knowing that no matter what this world shows up for us, we know that we are all gifted to consciously be the presence of the divine. I am surrounded by the power, grace, and ease of the infinite. Affirm and know that everywhere you go, goes God. I am one with the divine. God is who I am, ever present in every moment. As I know this for me, I know that this is for everyone participating today. We are all here to expand our awareness and our knowledge as we recognize the gifts of everyone here as they share with us. We recognize the inspiration of spirit as we commence this gathering. We are open, receptive to this knowing. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God. So these lyrics will be on screen, and you can just sing them together and just affirm the truth of God in you. We're going to run through this twice. God of glory, God of power, God of goodness, God of grace, God of wisdom, God of love, God of life, transcending time and space. God in me, God in me, God of glory, God of glory, God of power, God of goodness, God of grace, God of wisdom, God of love, God of life, transcending time and space. God in me, God in me. One more. God in me. Now we can invite Gwen Hadley, and she is going to do our sacred reading. Good morning, Gwen.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good morning. So our beautiful sacred covenant, I invite you to read along with me this affirmation that we send this prayer out into the community, into the world. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life, I know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which include the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to express God, I therefore know that my new minister reveals wholeness. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which we believe, For it is written by Ernest Holmes, let us learn to draw the divine substance down into our own lives, and as freely as it has been given to us, let us give it to others. Thus alone shall we be made whole. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as growing the center in joy and prosperity. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing the truth about myself, for I live the presence and law of God. I demonstrate wisdom through a mature understanding of the wholeness of life. I am accountable and willing to take full responsibility for my actions. I participate in and support the nurturance and guidance of the community. I act from wholeness and congruence in thought, word, and action. I walk the talk. Please express your own truth here. I embrace. I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, knowing that they are revealed in a way that expresses God and serves the highest and greatest good for all who are touched by their presence. I am so grateful, and so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Gwen. So August, the topic for this month has been a pause for guidance, and today we are focusing on GPS, our guidance positioning system. Jim Van Cleve, in his article in Science of Mind magazine this month, he offers this: divine guidance is ours for the asking. When a problem confronts us, we go into the silence of our consciousness and let the divine presence guide, guard, and protect us. In The Creative Mind, Ernest Holmes reminds us the highest attitude of mind from which all else springs is one of perfect calm and absolute trust in the Spirit. Certainly in these, the past year and a half has been challenging for many of us, and this is a song that I wrote last year. A little bit hesitant, a little bit, I wish that it didn't apply anymore, but it does, and it probably always will in some regard, because challenges grow us, challenges expand us as we become more the people that we were meant to be. This is called Lose Myself. The times are surely changing, the days are rearranging. I feel the unfamiliar moving in. I could be so uncertain, trying to see behind the curtain, but there's nothing there for proving or to win. And so I go inside, I let my mind be quiet, I take those roads that I put off for tonight. I take the time to heal, to see, to breathe, to feel. And Spirit's there everywhere. And when I lose myself, I find it. The news sends out its warning, and the world responds in mourning. How to hold it all without being consumed. Dear ones near and far seem farther, and fear wants us not to bother. But love can always find a way to bloom. And so I go inside, I let my mind be quiet, I take those roads that I put off for tonight. This space is mine, I can't slow down this time. Spirit's there everywhere. Yes, I will go inside and let my mind be quiet and take those roads that I put off or deny. Spirit's there everywhere, and when I lose myself, I find it. Back to you. Thanks.
Wow, Cheryl, that was great. Man, I don't know how you do it. That's great. Spirit's working through you for sure.
Amen.
Yes. Okay. Now's the time we've been waiting for. Our special guest, Reverend Laurel Hallett, will provide our message for today. Hello, Reverend.
Good morning.
Welcome,
Thank you.
welcome. So we want to turn this over to you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Oh, and how good it is to be back with this beloved community in St. George. I certainly have missed you all. For those of you that don't know me, I'm currently the Ministerial Services Coordinator here in Denver, Colorado, where I work and live, and former minister at CSL St. George. So again, it is such a pleasure to be back here with you all. So today, our topic for this month has been to pause for guidance. And so looking for ways that we can slow down, we can tap in, we can tune into that indwelling presence. That presence is always there within us, that is constantly wanting to reveal itself through us. And so our talk today is about GPS, our guidance positioning system. So I happen to be a geek, and I love technology, and I have for many years. So I've actually owned and used GPSs for about 30 years now. The first one I had was Magellan, and I called her Maggie. And Maggie had a lovely English voice that I made sure I set it to that, so that it was very soothing when she talked to me. And Maggie and I would take road trips everywhere. Road trips happen to be my favorite way of traveling. And having a GPS has made it so enjoyable, because I never have to worry about making sure I have a map with me, making sure I've checked out the route or anything like that. I just plug in the GPS and go. Well, I don't know if you all remember those old GPSs, but they had to be updated constantly. So I had to plug it into my computer and to download information all the time. And then I would be able to get going and take my road trip. And Maggie was so fun. She would tell me, I would be going along, and she would tell me to turn right in 500 feet. And for some reason, I have a little difficulty with right and left. And so oftentimes I would be going left when she was saying right. And she was so patient. She would just say, recalculating. And after about the third or fourth time, though, I could detect a little tone in her voice. At least I assumed I did. Maybe it was my own judgment of myself. But sometimes it felt like maybe there was a little judgment going on there. But it wasn't. It was just my own internal voice saying, oh, Laura, you messed up again here. But Maggie would just be patient, and Maggie would just say, recalculating, and then find me the next route to go to get where I needed to be. And GPSs have really evolved over the last 30 years. Now, my GPS is part of my phone. I plug it into my car. It shows up on a screen on my dashboard. I can have that GPS talking to me. I can have just the visual of it. And I just go through life very, very sweetly. And I don't ever really have to even plug it in too much, because it's constantly downloading. It's constantly updating through the satellite systems that my phone is connected to. And so I look at this and I think, wow, this is very much like spirit. Very much like spirit. It's like I am constantly plugged in to this eternal voice that's moving through us all the time. It is constantly letting itself be known when I become quiet enough, when I become still enough to listen, and I tap into it. And sometimes I have to ask the question, like in my GPS, I have to put in the destination that I want to go to. Sometimes with my internal GPS, my guidance positioning system, I have to actually ask the question to be able to hear the language. And so I think that oftentimes we forget that that it's always there available, and that we actually need to be asking the question, to be looking for that next destination, to that next place that we're heading towards. When I first started in Science of Mind back in 2005, I remember my minister teaching a class, and he said, Spirit is always there, and Spirit gives us free choice. And if Spirit doesn't really care, doesn't have any attachment to what we're doing or which way we're going, it just gives us choices all the time. So he said, for instance, you'll be going along and you get to a fork in the road, and you'll hear that little voice, that little internal voice saying, go left, go left. But there's something about the right direction that looks a little more appealing, and so we go right. And Spirit just kind of says to itself, okay. And then we'll go along for a little ways, and we'll keep going. We'll get to another fork, and you may hear Spirit say, go left, go left. And we think, no, I know right ways. The right is the right way for me. I'm going to head right. And Spirit says, okay. Just like Maggie and her recalculating, Spirit just kind of goes with it. Okay. And eventually we actually begin to become more discerning about that voice, and we actually begin to trust it a little bit more, and we begin to actually pay attention to what it's saying, and actually go left instead of going right each time. And lo and behold, we usually wind up with something amazing that happens at the end of that. But Spirit, like the GPS, is not going to judge us for which way we're going. It's not going to give us something bad at the end because we didn't listen to it in the beginning. It just recalculating, and it keeps going on with giving us guidance all the time. So, I just actually yesterday afternoon finished a 4-day, 1,800-mile road trip from Detroit, Michigan, where I was working remotely at a new retreat center old retreat center that our organization has just bought. Centers for Spiritual Living has a small group retreat center in Detroit, Michigan. And it was actually 7,500 square foot, 80-year-old convent. And I spent 5 months there pretty much by myself. And in the silence, a lot of the time I was working from there, but nights and weekends, I was pretty much by myself. And I learned to actually tap in and listen, or so I thought. So sometimes I think I'm further along than I am, but so I'm driving to from Detroit to Denver on Wednesday, and I decided to spend the night in Nashville, Tennessee, near Nashville, where my father and brother live, just to see them before I headed back here. And so I'm heading down there, and you know how it is when you get on a freeway, and you can just go, like, I got on this Interstate 75, and it said, stay on Interstate 75 for 175 miles. And so I thought, okay, I can turn the GPS audio off. I'll just keep the screen on, but I don't need to listen to her telling me which way to go. I wanted to listen to a book on tape. So I'm driving along, and the lovely thing about the GPS is it also gives me the estimated time of arrival and the number of miles I have left to go. And so I'm all of a sudden I look at my screen, and for some reason I'm 45 minutes longer on my estimated time of arrival. And I'm thinking, well, what happened? How could I have lost 45 minutes? Is there something happening up there ahead? So, I got a little concerned. And then I realized, oh no, you were supposed to turn about 10 miles ago, but I had my GPS turned off. I wasn't listening to it. It was always available. I was actually tuned in, but I was not listening to the guidance that it was giving to me. I was engrossed in the beautiful scenery and listening to the book that I was listening to on tape. And so I realized that, that GPS that we have, that internal voice that's always there, it's always present and it's always speaking. We just have to be listening to it as well. So we have to begin to look at that as how that affects us with our own sense of personal guidance. Like, am I always listening to Spirit? Am I always tapping in? First off, am I getting quiet enough to do it? I happen to have the book on tape, so I really wasn't quiet. I really wasn't listening. I was, listening to the wonderful book that I had going, looking at the scenery. So am I listening to it? Am I tapped in, and am I listening to it? Those are the first two key things that we have to keep in mind when we're working with our internal guidance system. It is always there. The whole thing about recalculating and recalibrating, it's always giving us guidance, but we often hear the guidance and don't take action upon what we hear. We often just say, oh, either I know better, or this is what I really want to do, or something else looks more appealing to us at the end of the other route. And so we constantly are going off from our internal guidance as well. And so we need to be bringing ourselves back to center, back to that listening voice, that stillness enough to hear and discern what is actually accurate for us in our lives. The one thing I love about the GPS on my phone is it constantly updates, and it's constantly improving itself. And so now the GPS will not only will it tell me where to go, but it'll say right turn in 500 feet. And then it will say, go past this next light and then turn right. And so it's actually getting itself clearer and clearer, because, oftentimes we see several traffic lights ahead. And I'm like, well, which one of those is actually 500 feet? I'm not quite sure of the distance thing, but it's now becoming clearer and clearer. So the more it has evolved, the clearer the messages become. Just the same as the more we evolve, the clearer the message becomes, the clearer we understand it, the clearer we hear Spirit speaking to us through this constant, continuous internal voice. It is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer. We learn to discern what is our little egoic voice talking and what is actually spiritual guidance that's moving through us. The longer we practice it, the more quiet we get, the more in touch we get, the more tuned in we get, the clearer the message becomes to us, and the easier it is to follow it. It becomes second nature to then take action on what is being revealed to us in each moment of our lives. And so this whole idea of this internal voice that is constantly active within us, constantly available, needs to be nurtured. It needs to be listened to. It needs to be acted upon, so that we can build those trust muscles within ourselves to know that what we are hearing, what we are able to receive, and discern whether that is the action that we need to be taking too. Again, Spirit gave us free will. We get to choose what it is we want to do with every single second of our lives. And so as we are tapping in and tuning in and evolving in our consciousness and evolving in our use of this GPS that we have within us, then the clearer the message becomes, the easier it is to follow the directions that are given to us. Just like I said with the phone GPS that I have, it is becoming so clear now. I don't have to second guess which way I'm going. It's actually readily available for me to follow those directions. And if I choose not to follow the directions, it will recalculate and give me the next step to take. So how do we begin to do that? How do we actually begin to get clear with what we're hearing, tapping into it and allowing it to live through us? Well, the saints and sages throughout ages have been telling us how to do this. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks to Arjuna throughout the entire book about becoming still and listening to that self. He calls it the self with a capital S. Listen to that internal voice. Listen to that self that is wanting to express itself through us. In the Bible, we have the passage from the psalmist, be still and know. Be still and know. Those are the key words there. Be still. And once you become still, you will know. And so we go through different things that begin to help us. We have wonderful poetry and literature that tells us how to do this. In Robert Browning's epic poem, The Paracelsus, he says, I have to open out a way from which the imprisoned splendor may emerge. I have to get myself out of the way and allow that thing that is within me, always in me, always available, to open out a way to let it speak and let it emerge through me as my life. Ralph Waldo Emerson tells us to get our bloated nothingness out of the way, to allow ourselves to be that full expression of the divine that is wanting to come through us. So becoming still, becoming quiet enough to hear it. So this month we've talked about lots of different things, about pausing, about the sacredness of silence, about resting and rejuvenating and allowing ourselves to nourish those inside parts of us, those inward parts of us that are tuned in all the time and tapped into that internal voice and that eternal voice of spirit that is moving through us all the time. We need to begin to do these practices in a more diligent way and listen and ask the questions and discern, is that true? Is that what is right for me? You know, I've had many instances in my life where I actually got quiet enough and I listened, and I've had miraculous things happen in my life because of it. I tap into that voice. I love our practice of visioning. Visioning for me is one of the best and most sacred practices because it allows me to tap into spirit and then ask questions to help me discern spirit's voice coming through me. And then I just listen. And then what is revealed, I take action upon that through my practice, through my spiritual practices, through my prayer work. I take what is revealed into contemplation. I take it into meditation. I take it into my prayer work. And then I allow myself to clear away those things that are inhibiting it, to embrace the things that are coming forth through it and allow it to express through me in a most amazing and miraculous way. And so it's been really exciting to learn these spiritual principles and to learn these spiritual practices that we have here at Science of Mind and Centers for Spiritual Living that allow us to actually get a clearer understanding and a practical way of demonstrating the truth that is moving through us. And so one of the things that we can do here is begin to do this in a kind of a systematic way. And so I have a slide here. Marina, will you put that slide up for me? Good. So this is practicing the stop. And so the stop is silence, time, opportunity, and presence. And so when we begin to practice the stop, the first thing we do is we go into the silence. We can do this in lots of different ways. We can just become still, and we could go into meditation. Meditation has so many different forms that there's something out there for everyone. And oftentimes we think that in order to actually truly meditate, we have to get our minds totally quiet all the time for a prolonged period of time. And that isn't the truth. Our human brains are constructed in such a way that there's chatter going a lot. It's frequently going through our heads. And so the trick is to find those moments between the chatter. Wayne Dyer called it the pause. Find the pause between the thoughts. Different ways of doing that to allow those pauses to be recognized first, and then to allow that pause to expand to a little bit longer. One of the people I study is Joel Goldsmith, and he would say that he would sit in meditation for 8 hours a day, but he only was truly ever in meditation, only ever truly in those moments of silence for 10 seconds or 15 seconds. And he was really pleased when it got up to be about 30 seconds. Because again, our minds are this chattering monkey mind that the Buddhists call it, that just is constantly trying to distract us, keep us active, keep us safe, do all the things that our genetics and our evolution have instilled within us to keep us safe and to keep us moving forward. And so finding those moments in the silence and beginning to relish that pause between the thoughts. And I remember when I was first starting to do this, the first time I actually felt the pause, I was so excited that I was instantly out of it and back into my thinking mind, because it was like, oh, look, there it is. There's no thought. And then it was like, that's a thought. Okay. So beginning to see it, recognize it, experience it, and then allow it to evolve within us is really important. And again, that takes place in taking the time to become still and to know what spirit is. We do that a lot through our studies, through our spiritual practice of study, and the classes that we look, exploring different sacred literature and different sacred texts, to work with other like-minded people to explore these ideas, to have the experience of God through our spiritual practices and through our study. is so important. So there's a amount of time that is absolutely necessary for you to begin to develop this ability to be in silence and to be still enough to listen and to be discerning enough to know what is that still small voice and what is just my egoic mind wanting me to distract me from whatever it is I'm doing. And so to take that time and opportunity to really experience the silence is so important. So finding lots of ways of doing that, having a regular spiritual practice, having like-minded people that we do that practice with is a vital part of our spiritual evolution. We weren't really meant to sit in the cave for years upon years as a monk and or go into the monastery and be there forever. We were actually meant to be engaged in the world. And so finding the opportunity to engage in the world and experience the silence is a critical thing in our spiritual evolution. So doing that in group work is really important. So finding those sacred groups of people that you can come together with, or taking classes, whether they're online, whether they're in person. This whole experience of COVID we've had has taught us that online can be very sacred too, and can be very spiritual, and can be a very deep experience. We don't actually have to be all the time in the physical presence, although I know most of us are missing that physical presence. It is possible to get the sacred online too. And so taking that time, taking that opportunity, and then listening when the presence whispers its wisdom to us. Just like I said with my GPS, it was constantly working. I just wasn't listening to it. And so I have to begin to listen deeply, listen wholly, listen in a whole body way that allows that inner voice to actually come forth, bubble up from within us and express itself, and for us to hear it. And all of this takes practice. It's that idea that we this is not actually innate within us. It actually takes a development of it. The innate thing is to rely on our evolutionary impulses to just survive and thrive and to grow. That's what's innate within us. But to take time and actually listen to spirit, to listen to that internal voice, to listen to that guidance that is within us all the time, takes practice. It takes a dedicated, diligent time of actually listening to that wonderful internal voice and allowing it to manifest itself through us. And so my wish for you is that you find that opportunity, that you do that you engage in this wonderful spiritual community you have, engage in classes, engage in group work with them. Book studies are fabulous for this. Women's groups, men's groups, different kinds of affiliated groups that you can work with, where you can actually take that time in sacred community and begin to allow that voice that is within you to develop into a greater and richer way. I know your life will be muchly benefited by that time and effort that you put into developing that intuitive listening ear that will tap into spirit in a greater and deeper way. So my question is, are you taking that time? Are you listening? Are you looking for what is wanting to be birthed within you? I think the tendency is, as we get older too, think, well, I've done everything. I don't really need to do much more. But there's a constant evolution that's happening within us. I didn't come into Science of Mind until my late 40s. And I'm watching what happens as it's unfolding through me is actually changing my life. I actually feel more like I'm living life now than I ever have. And it's because I'm tuned in. It's because I've tapped into spirit. It's because I do spiritual practices. It's because I engage in study. I just signed up for a meditation class. I've been teaching meditation for years, but I found a new one. I thought, I'm going to take this. And so it'll be a nice way for me to have a little more sacred time in silence and a little different way of doing it, and a different experience with other people this one happens to be people from all over the world taking this class. So I'm excited to see what unfolds through this time that I'm giving myself as a chance to connect a little deeper with spirit. And so my wish for you is that you find that in some way or another, that you can tap into it either through your own individual work or through work with some other in a class or a group. And so I think this is a great opportunity in our world. We've had a forced time of isolation for the last year and a half, and my wish is that it continues in a way that is productive for each one of us, not the way that inhibits our world, but in a way that the silence continues, not the isolation. And so, so I just want to leave you with that. And I think now I don't have my thing. I think I'm supposed to go into prayer now, right? I do believe. So I invite you to just turn within, and we're going to do what we call spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer. And I invite you to close your eyes and listen while I take us in and know the truth with me. And so, settling into this moment, I simply recognize that there is only one thing happening right here and right now. That is the action and the activity of the divine. It is in me. It is in with each person hearing my voice, whether it's in real time or listening to the recording later on. For there is no time and space within spirit. There is this one continuity, this one flow of eternal energy that is constantly moving itself in, through, and as all of creation. And I know that this one divine presence is a presence of love, of peace, of clarity and wisdom. I know it is a great harmony and equilibrium that is moving itself into fruition through each and every form of creation that exists. And because I know that there is only one, I know that I am one with it. That all that I am, all that I could ever be, is that presence of the divine. And as I know this is true for me, and I know this is true for each person, that each one of us is that beautiful, unique manifestation of creation, endowed with that infinite love, that intelligence and wisdom, that harmony and balance, that creative life force that is moving itself into expression through all creation. And so in knowing this truth, I speak my word. I know that right here and right now, each one of us is a conduit for the divine flow of spirit. Each one of us is an avenue of awareness for spirit to move through into formation as experiences in our lives, as the manifestation of hopes and desires and infinite possibility. I know this is the truth of all being. I know that spirit expresses itself through each of its creation and takes great joy and delight in that expressive form that is manifested through them. I know that each one of us is that divine vessel through which God walks and talks and moves in this realm of existence. I know that we are a generator of love and peace and perfection in all that we do. And I just give great thanks for this knowing. I'm so grateful to feel this presence. I'm so grateful to see it operating in the world through each of the beloveds that I encounter. I'm so grateful to see it operating in my own life. And knowing that it manifests itself fully, I simply release this word into the law, into that creative mind that always, always, always says yes. It knows no lack and no limitation, and that is continually expressing itself as the divine perfection that life is. I let this go, and I let it be. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. Oh, man, Reverend Laura, miss you. So Reverend Laura will be joining us on our Zoom meeting here in a little bit, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But this is what we got every Sunday. And you can just tune in here at 11 or whenever's convenient for you and hear these great enlightened speakers share their message. Excuse me. So we have some announcements, and we meet now on Saturdays. We're trying to get that set up, but we got our next meeting set up. It's going to be on August 28th. It's going to be in the same place that it was last time, over by the river at 2398 Sunbrook Drive, near a golf course right off of Dixie. I know where it is because I didn't use my GPS first time I went there, and I got there a little late. So anyway, come on out and join us. We'll have some snacks. We can all get together and share. So we're looking forward to seeing you then. Now, the book club is still going on. Sue Fulmer is leading it. It's a great group of people. You can just come in. It doesn't matter where they're at in the book or where you're at, or even if you're reading the book. Just join, talk. There's a lot of great conversation and people just sharing some time together, which is really good. As you can see, we're still operating and working on finding some new doors so we can enter them non-virtually. And all the help we can get to keep this thing running is really appreciated. There's many ways that you can do it. You can see we've got I think it's a G code, or anyway, whatever it is, you can see it there. You can give by text. You can give online through Breeze or PayPal. You can mail a check. Just any way, anything you feel like sharing to keep this broadcast going, we'd really appreciate it. We love you. We have our support community still going. Our Common Care Crew Circle is still working, contacting people, keeping in touch, just making sure we're on top of how everybody's doing. If you feel like you'd like to share prayer with somebody, you can contact one of our practitioners, either on the website or call the number on the screen, and one of them get right back to you and help you. I just mentioned a minute ago, we meet on the hour, which is 12 o'clock Mountain Time, on Zoom, and we share what the conversation was, what the speaker had to talk about. Reverend Laura will be joining us again there. So you can get there, but you can go to our website to access the meeting links and then click on them, and they'll guide you into the Zoom meeting. And that starts at 12 o'clock Mountain Time, so we really hope to see you there. Now, the future. I was just talking about these great speakers that we've got coming in. Steph Swink will be back on August 29th. Ride and Reemerge would be our subject for that day. And then our friend Joe Kavik will be here September 5th. The subject then will be Reaching Higher. So we really look forward to you joining us again, and we'll be right here waiting for you to click on. So now it's time that we do our sacred something. Anyway, our closing affirmation. And once we get everybody here, we'll start and we'll bring it up, and you guys can join along if you want. So here we go.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my body. Life is in my mind. Life is in all that I do.
I am it. I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it's becoming. Thank you, Live.
Thank you, Live.
Live. Woo.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Join us here at 12 o'clock in a few minutes, and we'll talk some more. Y'all have a great week.
Thanks
Namaste.
for being here, Reverend Laura.
Thank you.